Okay, hello folks. So, something a little different today. You may notice that the screen you're looking at is not quite what you'd be used to. That's because I have recently gotten myself an iPad Pro. It's something I've been wanting to get for a while now, but kept putting it off because, to be frank, Apple stuff is never cheap. So I had money set aside for a while now, and I'd been kind of humming and hawing about it. And after seeing all the positive feedback from like so many different artists online with regards to the iPad Pro for doing art, I decided to take the plunge and get one. So I'm just going to kind of play things by ear here, and I want to kind of break this in by coloring one of my comics. Now, like on this device, obviously. Now, this is kind of like a foreign environment for me in terms of instead of using Photoshop, I will be using let's go into it here. Clip Studio Pro or Clip Studio Pro, Clip Studio, which is fairly similar to Photoshop in terms of the things it does and its layout, but it's just different enough to be just that little bit awkward. So what you're going to see here is me basically very much learning the ropes, and you'll be coming along for the ride. So the way it works on the way it works on the iPad is that if you want to use pre-scanned images, you have to put them up onto, or rather, the handiest thing to do is to put them onto the cloud, say Google Drive. You'll see here I have a Photoshop file pre done here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on these three dots here, go open in, and it'll just has to prepare to export. And the handy thing with Clip Studio is that it allows you to import Photoshop files. So I want to copy that to Clip Studio. Let's see how that goes. And boom, there is the comic. And let's just open my layers here, and I'll move this. Maybe I'll just move it over here a bit. Okay. So make sure everything is set up here nicely. Yes, it is. I will, so yeah, I'm just, as I said, this is very much me kind of learning the ropes as I go along here. So I might be a bit slower going than I usually would be. But thankfully, this comic, it's fairly simple in terms of the line work and everything. So I won't have to do all that much with it, but it'll just be good for me to kind of just to learn this as I go along. Okay, so I want to lock this layer. So, oh yeah, I see. There's a lock there. Okay, so thankfully I have all the various layers pre-set up there. So as always, I want to, yeah, I want to select the line work on the characters here, and I will expand that by 2. And let's see, what color shall we go for? I think I will go for, to begin with, I'll just go with just a skin tone. Yeah, so some things work just a little differently here, and it makes things just a little more awkward than I'd be used to. Like for example, I'll explain. the color settings dialog here. Typically, when I open that in Photoshop, I can then just click anywhere on the, like any color on the screen, and like outside of that dialog, and it'll automatically color pick, it'll automatically pick up that color for me. Whereas here I can't do that, so I have to manually use the wand tool in this case. I mean, it's not a deal breaker or anything, but it just, yeah, it's a little thing to keep in mind. What am I doing? Oops. Let's see. Actually, I just noticed there that I made a few mistakes in terms of my selections there. Command Z. Yeah. So, yeah. If I sound a bit awkward, it's because this is completely new to me for the most part. Like, I have spent a bit of time. In Clip Studio on the iPad, just learning the ropes and kind of getting used to things before, I did something like this. Okay, so expand that by 2. And let us, oh yeah, hold on, pick the right layer. Go for characters, of course. Alt backspace, boom, there we go. Okay. Let me see, can I just get like a flat brush? Is it possible to get a flat brush in this? That's another thing. One thing I noticed with Clip Studio is there doesn't seem to be anything really in the way of like just a pure flat brush, which comes in very handy for putting in flats and things, like, when I don't want to, when I want the color to be like consistent and flat. So again, I'll just, hold on, I'll go with the wand tool again. Where are we? Here we go. What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay. I think I can get used to this. Like, a couple of years back, I ended up getting the Microsoft Surface Pro 4 because I wanted it for this very reason. I wanted to have a device that I wouldn't be tied down to the desk in my room, which is a very uncomfortable desk. So, yeah, there we go. And it never really worked as I hoped it would. Hold on, did I make a mistake here? I did make a mistake. Okay. But yeah, the Surface Pro 4, it's a beautiful little machine and it works really nicely for just about everything. But I found for doing art, it was quite lacking. It was fine in a pinch, but it didn't feel very natural. It didn't. Yeah, it just didn't feel right. Whereas the one thing I immediately noticed with the iPad Pro is that it just feels more. It just feels more natural to draw on and to color with, which, I mean, people have been telling me that, or rather, I've seen it in reviews and stuff. But like, I was worried that it was basically all hype, but no, it's the hype is justified, it would seem. Okay, so yeah, I want to change the color on the characters here. Don't want to go for that skin tone, go for something a bit more interesting. Actually, I wonder if maybe kind of a red color. Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe bring the saturation a bit. The one thing I do still find kind of awkward with the iPad Pro is the fact that the screen is made out of, I mean, it's glass. Whereas typically when I'm working on my coloring on my laptop, I'm using a Cintiq, which has a matte screen, which it's not quite the same. It doesn't give quite the same effect as drawing on paper, but there's just enough bite to the surface of the screen that it just feels immediate and easy to color and draw on. Whereas I find working on glass, it can kind of, there can be just a slight lack of friction, which I find can kind of mess up my lines. It's not so bad for coloring, but for line work, it's a bit of a problem. So I think I'm thinking of picking up a matte screen protector for obviously the MacBook, or the the iPad Pro, just to give me that similar kind of feeling, that kind of bite that I wish to have. Okay, so I wonder if let's see if I go for kind of a painterly brush for the background here. I ended up picking up some. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go for that. The watercolor gouache like. I ended up picking up some brushes, digital brushes from a guy called Friendon, and up to now I've been using brushes created by Kyle T. Webster for Photoshop, and why is that not doing anything? Why is that not doing anything? Oh, okay. It's too small. But yeah, up to now I've been using brushes created by Kyle Webster, or Kyle T. Webster, whatever, in Photoshop, and like Kyle Webster's brushes are just, in my opinion, they're the best of the best. They're really really good. Like they feel natural, and there's I made a mistake there, but yeah, that's kind of nice. But unfortunately, there are workarounds that would allow me to use Kyle Webster's brushes on the iPad, but there's another app I'd have to download which allows you, I believe, to import Photoshop brushes into it. So I might give that a look at some point if these brushes that I got don't turn out to my liking. But so far, what I've briefly used of them, these brushes by Friendon, they're quite nice. Oh, what am I doing? I keep. Hold on. Okay. Yep. Okay. So this is basically just me kind of getting used to the layout of everything and how things work, and for the most part, yeah, like right now you seeing me like putting in that like background color, that just feels nice and immediate. And the one big problem with the Kyle Webster brushes I have for Photoshop is that my laptop, my MacBook is very much, you know, showing its age. I mean, it's nearly a decade old, and it tends to like you can almost hear it huffing and panting when I try to use certain brushes, because it just can't handle them. Whereas this, it just feels so good. Like the when I put the brush strokes on the page, or on the, you know, on the canvas, it's immediate, and yeah, it just feels really nice. So yeah, I'm liking this. And it's just nice to know I have a capable machine that's super portable, that I can just take with me wherever I need to go. Like if I need to leave the house, or if I just, as I'm doing now, if I just want to get out of my room and sit outside in the kitchen, at the table there, or wherever, you know, it's nice just to be able to do that. I mean, there could be a day where if it's a really nice day, I might decide to go to a cafe or something and do some work. So I really like that aspect of it. I really like the fact that this thing is small enough that it's portable, but it's also large enough that, you know, it doesn't feel too cramped to work on. It's just a little over the size of my Cintiq, which my Cintiq is roughly about 12 inches, I believe. Whereas, let's see, I'll just go with that. Does that work? Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, okay. Okay, well, yeah, but yeah, rambling there. That's why. The Cintiq, it's about 12 inches roughly, whereas this iPad, it's just a little bigger. It's 12.9 inches. So it gives me just enough screen real estate that things don't feel like I'm, that it doesn't feel like I'm battling with with the interface or anything in the various apps I use. Like I've tried using what am I trying to say? I've tried using Clip Studio on my Surface Pro, and the Surface Pro, I think it's about 12 inches as well, and it just, yeah, it just never felt right, you know. Whereas this, oh, what am I doing? I'm on the wrong brush. Am I on the wrong brush? Whereas this, like, yeah, just it's very nice and open, which I love. So right now I'm using brushes that I wouldn't be entirely used to using, which is kind of awkward, but look, it's a learning experience, and it's let's see, just make sure I have, ugh, I've locked the transparency. Yes, I have. Okay. Ah, again, I'm making the same mistake. I think I better set up some shortcuts for these brushes, because that could get awkward if I'm not careful. I think maybe I should go for maybe a different brush. Let's just see how this is. Oh, and Yeah, it's at 300. That's okay. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, maybe if I switch off the lock transparency, let's see what that does. Oh, and yeah, select those bits again. Blah, blah, blah. Lines. Expand to. The one thing I noticed with the working on this is you don't see it in front of me right now. Well, obviously because you're only looking at the Clip Studio here, but I have a keyboard which it just makes things that bit easier just to have access to shortcuts and everything. But the one thing I'm noticing is that I don't have to use it all that much. Like the touch interface in Clip Studio is really good. It's very intuitive, and like for example, if I want to hold on, I'll just put in, say that, like I can press Command Z on my keyboard, boom, that it'll do that. However, another thing I can do is I can just do a double tap, like tap two fingers once on the screen, and yeah, instantly gone. And that, you would think that, like, pressing Command Z and like tapping two fingers, it wouldn't be all that different, but there's something about tapping your fingers on the screen that's very intuitive. I find, it just feels nice, and yeah, I could get used to this. And another thing I like as well is, is having access to being able to do this. I can zoom in, like using my fingers, and rotate the canvas, and do you know what, that feels really good. Let's command. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. Oh my, no. Cancel. I want to reset display. There we go. Actually, do you know what? I should save this. Command S. Layer is contained. These layers will be rasterized and part of the layer information will be lost. Also, effect. No. Actually, that's one thing I have to check. Can I export this? I can export it as a single layer. Oh, that's okay. So, do you want to replace it? Okay. Layer or layer information not compatible with this format is contained. These layers will be rasterized, and do you know what? I'm going to save this as a new version of itself just to test it out. So I'll 1393 and I'll just type in test. Okay, save. Yes. Now, what changed here? What changed? Did anything change? Yeah, it seems to be fine. There doesn't seem to be much. Like, can I still grayscale here? I can still. That is there. Yeah. Okay. It seems to be fine. So I'll just continue with this. Okay. So go back to the brush. Make sure I'm on the right one. I am. Painterly. And get back down to it. But yeah, like, do you ever do that? Have that thing where you buy an expensive piece of kit, and even though you really like it, you begin to suffer with buyer's remorse because you're worried that, did I waste my money? Like, you know, did I really need to get this thing? However, the more no, sorry, the reason I bring that up is because I wasn't quite suffering with buyer's remorse, but I was worried that I had bought what would essentially be an expensive toy and not much else. You know, something that I'd do a bit of doodling on, and that would be about it. Um, However, this what I'm doing right now is proving to me that no, no, this thing is very capable, and it's very nice to work on. It's very fast, which is obviously quite important. Um, yeah, like I have to say, I am impressed. You know, what I'm not so impressed with are these brushes I'm using. Not that I'm not impressed, but they don't quite have the same feel to them that the brushes I'd be used to have, and it's fine, but like it just doesn't quite have the same sense of texture and bite to it that I like about Kyle's brushes. But do you know what? It's probably just because I'm not used to these. Like, I just have to get used to them, and I'll be able to pull off like interesting stuff with it then. Uh, but yeah, I'm just keeping things fairly simple with this anyways, because yeah, there's not all that much going on. So um, am I doing the right, what am I on? There we go. And I think I will go for a lighter version of this. Yep. I'll go back to the second layer, the second panel. And wait, did I select one? Oh, there we go. Okay. The great thing about the keyboard is just being able to have access to the various shortcuts. In fact, there a few days ago, I tinkered around with the shortcut settings in Clip Studio just to better match the shortcuts I'd be used to using in Photoshop, and it's just, I could have learned how to use Clip Studio's shortcuts, like, but I liken using a program that you're used to for years, such as, like in my case, Photoshop, as knowing a language, and then going into Clip Studio, it's like suddenly exposing yourself to a similar language, but it's just different enough that it's awkward. And I wanted to make it as not awkward as possible. I wanted to be able to just pretty much jump into Clip Studio and get to work. And yeah, I'm glad I took some time at the weekend just to learn the ropes and get a bit more used to it. Because it's making this, like, while I'm still finding some things a bit awkward here, it's not anywhere near as awkward as it would have been if I just jumped in without like get myself a bit more, just a bit used to the layout of the UI and stuff. And what did I do there? Command. There we go. Like the way I have the UI laid out here, like the layers and stuff, it wasn't actually like that by default. I looked up various tutorials and whatnot on YouTube and on Twitter. Like there's one fella, PJ Holden is his name. He's an artist from Northern Ireland, a comic artist, and he is a huge proponent for the iPad Pro. In fact, his various posts about the iPad Pro was one of the things that really pushed me to want to get one. Because he really sold that thing, I have to say. Okay, let's lock that transparency. And what am I saying? But yeah. So I looked up tutorials by him and tutorials on YouTube just to get myself more used to the workings of this, and like getting everything laid out pretty much to my liking. So this is, I have to say, I'm very impressed right now. Very impressed. This is, this has been almost kind of a relief for me, because I was worried again that maybe I'd spent money that I shouldn't have spent, but no, right, like right now, just what I'm doing here. Oh, what am I doing? Of course, yeah. So eyedropper, boom, and so I'm very much enjoying this. Like, it's so snappy and quick to work with. And another thing I'm incredibly impressed by is, if you look at the top right of the screen there, look at the battery indicator. I don't know how long I've been doing this. Has it been? It's been well over a half hour at this point, and the percentage, like the battery has only gone down a single percent. That is impressive. I work on, typically I work on my MacBook, as I said, when I'm coloring my work, and it has to constantly be left plugged in because it just doesn't really work anymore. The battery is kind of fecked, as they say. And just having a device where not only can I use it portably, but I can use it portably without worrying about the battery sinking down to nothing as I work. Like that was a major thing against the Surface Pro for me. Lovely machine, but it ate up the battery like nothing else. Like it would just plow through the battery in no time. Like if you had the internet on and you were trying to use Photoshop and whatnot, whereas this, like, that's one of the most impressive things for me. The fact that like it just works. Like not just works, but like it. What am I doing here? I'm trying to deselect this. There we go. Actually, hold on. One thing I want to do here is, hold on. There's a lasso tool. Perfect. But yeah, knowing that I can use this without worrying about the battery sinking to nothing is a game changer, frankly. Like knowing that I can bring this into town if I want to and do some work and not have to worry about losing my work. Like that is so good. Okay, so lasso tool. There we go. And I want to make this white. And now I don't know if I'm going to stick with this, but let's see. I don't know if you notice it when I'm drawing with the freehand tool there, but do you remember what I was saying earlier about how slippy the screen can feel at times? As you can see, it kind of affects the way I draw, where the lines get a bit juddery, which isn't too bad for coloring, but when it comes to drawing, it's not great. So as I said, I think I'm going to invest in one of those like matte screen protectors. Oh yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. Okay, yes, I am liking that. Let's see. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be like majorly adventurous with this comic. Like I'm just going to keep things fairly simple because like I just wanted to see could I do something that was pretty much on par with what I do in Photoshop and like on my laptop. And I have to say I'm so happy right now. Like this is I mean, I've already said it, but yeah, this is a game changer for me. This is an absolute game changer for me. Like I am, yeah, this, yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Oh, wrong one. Wand, not wand. Eyedropper. Yeah. Actually, pick the wand. Just get out of there. There we go. Eyedropper. Boom. Guess I'll go for kind of a blue with the what am I doing? Where is the? Well, oh yeah, another thing I really like in Clip Studio is when I select something with, say, the lasso tool or the wand tool. I like this little toolbar that comes up that gives you the option to like expand pixels, and over here on the right, fill selection like that. Again, that's a thing I could do easily with the um, with the keyboard, but just little things like that, little kind of UI things like that really help make this just much quicker to work with. Okay. Let's bring that down a bit. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Never thought to check my grayscale just to make sure. Okay, the characters need to contrast a lot better. So let's sort that out. Command U. Hold on, let's get those lines back on. Command U. So I'm going to just darken them a little bit. Bring up the saturation. Actually, I hope you can't hear my neighbors right now. The walls and floors in this place are so paper thin that I can hear everything my neighbors are doing right now. So I hope that's actually not being picked up by the microphone on this. Though if it is being picked up by the microphone, it would mean that's a pretty good microphone. But oh yeah, let's fill in that signature as well. What am I? Yeah. Backspace. Let's move. Wonder, can I? Okay, that's one slightly awkward thing. I can't move layers with the keyboard using the arrow keys. Small thing, but like, yeah, it's not a biggie, but it's something I like having in Photoshop. Yeah, so I'm going to just make those characters. Actually, hold on. Let's see if I can do something better with the background. No, that's not working. Yeah, okay, I think that works. So let's see how that looks in grayscale. Yeah. One thing I'm wondering, and it's something I haven't checked yet, is if I can add similar filters. Okay, so there's Mosaic. Let's see what we have in Mosaic. Block size. Ugh, nope. Nope. I just want to see if I can add something like a color halftone effect, but that seems to be one thing that is not in this. So what I'm probably going to do is, like, I'm going to do the kind of the grunt work on this, and then I'm going to just change up a few things in like put this back onto the cloud, and then transfer it back into Photoshop on my laptop, and just add a few little things there. Let's see. Yeah, like such as, things like I add like a noise filter, and I also add like kind of a color. Well, I mentioned that color halftone effect, and yeah, actually, now I look at this, I'm just wondering, is that black for the bubbles? Like, does that look like it kind of represents hate, or? No, do you know what? I will leave it be, because I think it works. So I want to. Why do I want to? No, I don't need to do anything there. So, do I want to add shading to the characters? Well, look, just out of curiosity, I just want to see what the gradient tool looks like. So eyedropper. Eyedropper. Am I on the eyedropper? I am indeed. So have that selected. Eyedropper. Select that again. and go for kind of a darker tone, and maybe go for a bit of a purple as well. And gradient. So let's see how this goes. That does not go well because I did not lock the transparency. And are there different gradient tools I can choose from, I wonder? Tool settings. Let's see. Oh, that just allows you to change the name of the tool. Let's see what okay. So there's like lots of different options here. So there's foreground to background. I wonder, is there like no, paint, the lightest shadow, the deepest shadow. Manga gradient. Huh. Now I'm very curious. That is quite intense, and I will not be using that. No, no, sir. So foreground to background is what I want. So I think, yeah, just a simple gradient on the characters, just to give them a bit more shape. So which way did I go with that? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm liking that. The lasso tool. No, that's not what I need to still figure out some of the shortcuts. Does G give me gradient? G does give me gradient. Excellent, excellent. Oh, I wonder, is S. S is not what I'm looking for. No, I'm just wondering if S would be for the lasso tool, like for selection or something, but nope. So yeah, not, again, as I said, not exactly my most beautiful looking color work, but it's a good start. It's nice to know I can do this kind of work on this device. And this will probably be one of those comics where I'll look back at it like I was going to say a few years, but even just like a few days or a few weeks, and I'll think, ugh, this doesn't look great. But yeah, it's just good to know, as I said, that I can do this stuff now using this. So, am I done? Yeah. So let's get rid of those swatches, save that. Layer or layer information with this format is contained. These layers will be rasterized and part of layer information will be lost. Also, effect applied to folder will not be reflected. Do you want to proceed? Yes. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I may as well just show you while I'm here. So I'm going to go back into Drive and I'm going to upload, browse. What are all these? Oh my, there's a lot of stuff here that I possibly need to get rid of. Cancel, browse. Okay. So on my iPad, um, can I export back to my, oh, that is a problem. Okay, that's a potential problem right there. So let's see. Okay, there. Yes. Can I put this onto Google Drive? So it seems the only things I have access to are Comic Glass and Numbers. Oy. Okay, this is the major downside to the iPad, the fact that it doesn't have a proper file system. So export. Where does that export to? File. Can I go like save to, I wonder, or export single layer? No. Save file from folder library. Oh, hold on. File operation share. Okay. I have a feeling this is it. Okay, so and as you can see here, these are just like various files I've been messing around with just to see what I could do. Okay, so let's click on, or tap, I should say, on share. Okay. Share. Excellent. Copy to Drive. Save file, save. That seems to be doing the trick. Excellent. Okay, that was a bit awkward, but at least I learned how to do that now, and you got to see that. You got to learn along with me if you're not already familiar with this stuff. All pending uploads have completed. Now, does that get added to this folder I'm in, or does it get thrown into? So that was 1, 3. Yeah. There it is. Okay, so I will move that to Clip Studio Work. Move here. And that should be in Clip Studio Work. Excellent. Okay. Right, so I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you very much for joining me in doing something a little different. This was nice for a change. So I will leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you at the next video. Take care.